Hello friends, I'm coming to you today in a state of complete and unmitigated chaos. Originally, the video that I wrote down to do on the 1st of November, well, actually it was supposed to be the end of October. This video is a little late, but it is now the 1st of November video, and I was going to do a vlog to kick off the Cozy Writing Challenge for November, but I looked around my house and I thought, I cannot do a vlog because everything is a disaster. And ideally, in a vlog, you want to move around the house, follow yourself with the camera throughout the day, and I can't do that because the only spot that's clean is the spot where I usually record myself in my room. Kitties are playing, so there's some background kitty noise. But this kind of gets back to my last video where I was talking about how I want to focus on my writing for November and not bother too much about getting the house clean. Because let's face it, cleaning your house takes up a lot of time that could go to something else. And this has been a shame that I've carried with me for my entire life, that I am just a chaotic, messy person. I've certainly had my share of like little comments from family and friends, you know, going back to when I was a kid, and there was a lot of pressure from family members to keep my room clean, and it just seemed difficult and pointless to me to keep my room clean because I was just off in my creative world and I knew where everything was. And that's kind of continued into adulthood. I am definitely the messiest person in my family. My grandma's house is always as neat as a pin. My mom's house is only slightly less neat than a pin. And my sisters also both have these really nice spaces where everything generally seems clean and organized. And I'm the one where you can't show up at my door or I will just melt into a scream without like 24 hours of warning at least, because I'm a mess. And I don't know how other people do it. Obviously, one way is to have less stuff, and another way is just to make more time to clean, or maybe to be better at cleaning. But this kind of gets back to like emotional issues that come up when you start to do YouTube in particular, although they certainly are things you might think about in real life as well. When I started doing YouTube, I started looking at everything in my life in a different way. My face, my clothes, my lack of makeup or awareness of hair care. Like, I'm not a fancy fussy person. I like to have some nice clothes, and I will tidy up my house if you're giving me 24 hours notice. But that's about the best I can pull off. Also, my house is very dated. It was built in 1984, and it still looks like it was built in 1984. And whoever decided that the kitchen should be like all faux red brick should be punched, but that's how it is. I'm not going to pay to remodel my kitchen just so that it looks better on social media. That's just true of a lot of things in life, that I hesitated to even do YouTube simply because I thought, I don't look social media ready. Before I can do YouTube, I need to like learn how to do makeup. I need to learn how to do my hair. I need to make sure that my house is always clean. I need to maybe see if there's something I can do with that kitchen. Maybe there's some way to cover up all that brick. You know, there's just like, I had to like figure out the corners of my house that I could film that weren't embarrassing. And I have a feeling that a lot of people never get past this stage. That you remain self-conscious, feeling that you're not pretty enough, skinny enough, polished enough, put together enough, fashionable enough, decorated enough, that whatever it is, you're not enough to be here. That your aesthetics are not sharp enough to be here on social media. And when I did get on YouTube, I also struggled with then, okay, like if I'm doing this, for everything that I do make more aesthetic, particularly in a way that is sort of beyond what I would normally do. Like if you came to visit me as a friend, I would tidy up my house. I might change into a cute dress. I do like to wear cute dresses quite a lot, but I might not. It might be a little messy around here. I might say, I'm sorry about the mess, but I'm in the middle of a bunch of stuff. So, I cleaned the bathroom. That's about it. And sometimes I'm just wearing like slobby work clothes. It just depends on the circumstance of the visit, right? But when I'm on social media, you have this pressure to feel like everyone's looking at you and that you've decided to put yourself out there. So everything better be perfect, or people are going to be looking at the junk in the background, or just the way your house looks, the way you look, and judging you on all these things and thinking that you're not worthy of being here. And, if you're like a fashion blogger or a beauty blogger or a home decorating blogger, that might be a valid point. You don't want to take advice from someone who doesn't look like they actually know what they're doing in real life, perhaps. But a lot of channels are not about aesthetics, and yet you still might end up feeling self-conscious about yourself, even if you're just here to talk about a different area of expertise or your life experiences, etc. Of course, some ways around this are simply setting off one corner of your house, making it look good, and then never moving from that spot. It doesn't help the way you look, but at least it helps the way that your house looks, that you can control that one spot. But of course, if you are a woman on social media, you will also quickly realize that the guys that you watch don't look as great as the women that you watch. The women are all wearing a lot of makeup and have more aesthetic spaces as a generalization than the men. Like, there's plenty of men that I watch on YouTube who are just like a dude in an office chair with, like, he's fat and he's wearing like a baseball cap, and probably nobody's thinking anything about it. So that effect is everywhere. If you're a woman, you're probably going to feel even more self-conscious if you and your space are not put together and aesthetic. So every time that I spruce up myself or my space, I wonder a little bit if I should. If I'm in fact contributing to a sense that you're only allowed to be here if you are beautiful and you live in a beautiful house, and that you're making everything about you look good. Not that I necessarily think I always succeed at this, certainly not to like the highest standards of social media, but certainly I put more effort into a YouTube video than I do to regular life. And I'm aware of things such as like women who are even a little bit overweight get more flack than skinny women, and a lot of that is just like genetic roll of the dice. And people who have more money have more ability to give themselves even a nice corner. Women without children have more ability to carve out quiet and time to do a YouTube video. So these are all things I think about, that who we are seeing on YouTube when we're surfing through our feed, no matter what topic we are interested in, who we see there is somewhat informed by whether a person felt like they were allowed to be here. Some people aren't going to care. They're just going to show up because they like it, and they're not going to be self-conscious. But very few humans are free of being self-conscious of how other humans view us. So even though my channel is generally about my experiences as a professional novelist, which, a professional novelist does not usually have to leave their house very much. And we might not have that many people over either, because we are a somewhat reclusive and hermity bunch by and large. But I love to talk to other people about all the things I've learned, what I'm still learning. I love that back and forth, and I love sharing it. And that means I have to reckon with that sense of like, am I allowed to be here visually? And I know some of you are probably thinking like, oh my God, no, don't even worry about it. We love you. Or like, oh, you're so pretty. Like, I get that whenever I talk about things like that. And I want to say about that, like, it is irrelevant. Almost everybody that I watch on YouTube, especially women, especially younger women, like the younger you are, the more self-conscious you tend to be. Like part of the reason I'm here is because like I've reached the glorious, I don't give a shit vibe of my 40s. But when I watch women in their 20s, I get even more that they are often like the most beautiful person in the world, and they still seem like constantly self-conscious about themselves and how they're coming off. So it doesn't even really matter to a certain extent. I mean, I do think that some people feel this more than others, but you can in fact be a very conventionally attractive person and still feel extremely self-conscious about whether you deserve to be here. So I did want to do a video where I just show up like in the most, like this is just like I rolled out of bed, I need to make lunch, and I have not done anything to make me or my space pretty. And right now I'm in the middle of a lot. If you've been following me for a while, you'll know that my father-in-law died almost 3 years ago. He left us his entire house, which was packed full of collectibles, and we brought them all up from his house in Florida to here. We had to accommodate them. I sold them all on eBay because collectively they were worth quite a bit of money, but it took a lot of time, and it was like just stuff everywhere for 2 years. And then I had a little bit of respite where like I had kind of reclaimed the main part of the house, and what was left was contained in the basement, which is kind of my partner's domain. He has a lot of stuff down there. Like I don't really have anything in the basement because my collection is a lot more focused, but he has a lot of stuff down there. However, after the experience with dealing with his father's stuff and seeing just how many things he left behind, things that he never opened, things that were just like gathering so much dust, like it was just stuff for the sake of stuff. And it kind of shifted both of our feelings about our collections and how much stuff we wanted to have and like mortality in general. So we've been going through like a big purge. He's been getting rid of tons of stuff. His stuff is also saleable on eBay. So now the top half of the house is once again overrun with eBay stuff. There's boxes everywhere. There's packing material everywhere. And I'm in the middle of, you know, getting over Hurricane Helene. My brain is finally starting to really function again. And I really just want to write my books. I don't want to clean the house, like not even a tiny bit. I've been doing some laundry, and even that I'm like, oh, I don't want to fold that laundry, but I will fold the laundry. I am going to make a nice meal because that is really important to me, to have like good home cooked food. But other than that, like even just cooking the home cooked food, it takes like 2 hours sometimes to like clean the kitchen, chop everything, make everything. So ever since I was young, I've been aware that all those hours, you have to choose your battles. That if you were going to be really serious about being a full-time writer, then you might have to prioritize writing, depending on what your life looks like. If you live in a small apartment and you don't own a lot of stuff, you don't have kids, if you don't have pets, if any one of these factors is true, all of those things are going to add to your load. So that's one reason we've been getting rid of stuff, because ultimately the idea is that we just want to have less stuff and a simpler life. I read a statistic that like for every so much stuff that is in a household that women lose years off their life. I don't know if that sounds like improbable, but also kind of probable. So we're hoping to simplify now that we're kind of in like midlife. But for now, it's not simplified yet. It's actually worse for the moment. And I just want to say to the world at large, I don't always practice what I preach. I get self-conscious just like anybody else. I have days where I think I just don't feel secure enough to vlog unless I've made my space pretty, and I made myself pretty because I'm stressed out about being judged. But I do just want us all to reflect on the fact that you shouldn't stay quiet just because you're not aesthetic enough for social media. And you know, sometimes that might turn out that you don't want to show your face or your house on a video. There's certainly ways around that. But they also take time to figure out some kind of other visual. And if you just want to show up and talk to the camera and look like a little bit of a mess, some people will judge you. You will sometimes get nasty comments. But at the same time, I really hope that you can have the courage to not let that silence you, because what's going on in our heads and our hearts is often what the video is about. It's what people are here for. And every time I feel self-conscious on a video, there's always people rushing to tell me not to worry about it. So I'm trying not to worry about it when I don't have the time, when I don't have the bandwidth. Today is one of those days where I'm just really looking forward to making a nice, hearty autumnal lunch and sitting down with my manuscript for the rest of the day and just really hammering out some words. That feels like what's my priority today. So that's what I'm going to do. And you can come along with me in my messy kitchen, in my messy house. We'll make a little lunch and we'll do a little writing. Yummy. Let that simmer for a while, and then a little later we'll add some sausage. Good winter stew. I don't care if it's 70 degrees outside. Uh-oh, a little guy. Yeah. Yeah, it's so sad. Yeah, the stew's not done yet. Oh. All right, it is now evening. I've been writing for a while. I'm right in the muddy middle of this book where I'm kind of at the point where I have to go back and really sort out what's come before and what the second half is going to look like. But, you know, I got my 1,000 words in. Little things are clicking, which sometimes writing a book is just a matter of like 100 tiny little things clicking in little painstaking bits until it all feels like it's coming together. But yeah, my main thought with this video ended up being that I just wanted to say, I think that there's a lot of appreciation for just being real, even when you're a mess. We all have an appreciation for a good aesthetic. I certainly do. A lot of the YouTubers I watch do have like a look and, you know, pretty houses and things like that. But in the end, if what you bring to the table with what the kind of the story you're telling and some kind of interesting thoughts, that to me is so much more important than anything else. And that sense that the person is sharing something relatable and being authentic, those are often the kind of videos that I really relate to, and when I watch them I feel like a little less alone in the world. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit, and that is not in any way to shame anyone who does always want to get really put together for a YouTube video. I mean, I'm the kind of person who I have a rule in life generally that, like, if you have a friend pop over, or you go to the grocery store or something, then it's like I don't necessarily dress up for that. But if I'm going like anywhere of importance, a writing club meeting, Thanksgiving dinner, going to the bookstore, a movie, a restaurant, like anywhere of any kind of worth whatsoever, I usually do like dress up more than most people. I really do wear my vintage dresses when I go out all the time, and like tights and nice shoes and all of that. I'm definitely not someone who dislikes aesthetics. I'm sure that I've had friends who've been like, she's so dressed up for like no reason. But I also firmly believe that it is okay to not do that. So that's what I wanted to talk about in this video, that you still have value even if you are unable, both financially, physically, or just like emotionally, to make yourself or your space look perfectly aesthetic. And also, our idea of what is aesthetic is always changing. So the people who look the most fashionable now are gonna look dated and stupid in the future, whereas I always look the same. Even down to my glasses frames when I go to the eye doctor, and they always try to sell me like some kind of trendy eyeglass frame, and I'm always like, no, I want the frame that looks the most like all the frames I've worn my entire life, so that you can never tell how much time has passed, except that I slowly but surely age in my photos. But other than that, like, I don't have the Dorian Gray portrait in my attic, but that's the way that I stay ageless, is just to never be fashionable, but always be myself. Anyway, that's another tangent. But before I go, I also, as you know, if you've been following this channel, I live in Western North Carolina, and we've been hit very hard with Hurricane Helene. It's now been over a month, and the city of Asheville still can't drink their water without boiling it. So we're still at this point where, like, a lot of people's workplaces are destroyed. A lot of people are still just having like boil big pots of water just to wash their dishes. Luckily, I'm not in that boat, but it's still like, we're still very much in the thick of the aftermath of this hurricane. And I've been highlighting some local businesses and other GoFundMes and ways that you can help. First, I wanted to note that my little bookstore where I work now has a GoFundMe. We lost everything in Hurricane Helene, like most people, no flood insurance. Every book, every record, all of the like personal things we had behind the counter, everything floated away. And we are hoping to reopen. So I'm going to link that GoFundMe in the comments. And today I also wanted to highlight the Guitar Bar. The Guitar Bar is a music venue in the River Arts District of Asheville, where my dad has played many a time in a band, and one of the members of the band is also one of the owners of the Guitar Bar. And we've always had such a good time there, and part of what makes it such a lovely space is that the owners, Mark and Julia, are just really sweet and welcoming people. They'll make you feel like you're at their house when you go to the Guitar Bar, because they're just so warm and friendly and welcoming, and it just has that vibe of like a place that if you go there enough, you'll start to feel really at home. And they had it really beautifully decorated. And the last time that I was there, Julia was so excited because she had just like opened the side space, and she wanted to turn it into an art gallery. And she was so excited to show me that she had put like her lifetime of artwork in this new gallery space. Like, that was the first kind of display, was all this beautiful artwork that she had done throughout her life. It kind of told the story of her life, and I felt really honored to be able to see this artwork. And you know, they're just good people. And then all of that, all their space, the art, everything got wiped out, and it just breaks my heart for them. So they're the business that I'm highlighting today. And I tell you, it's hard to even decide who to mention because there's so many. Like everybody I know needs help. But thank you so much for being here. If you're new here, my name is Lydia Foxglove. I have been a professional novelist since 2009, and on my channel I talk about writing craft, the writing life, just the creative life in general, both the practical side of it and like the emotional, psychological side of being a creative in this world. And I love to have you here. Also, I have a Patreon and Substack, same content on both, and they both have a free tier as well as a $5 tier that gets you access to my Discord and bonus videos, etc. And in the month of November, we're starting the Cozy Writing Challenge, which I'm going to try to finish the book I'm working on, and everybody is setting their own goals that are pushing themselves in a way that feels satisfying and not stressful. So I'm going to be cheering everybody on. We're going to have some live streams and stuff on the Discord. It'll be fun. And I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.